Drivers, start your engines!
It's MRN Motorsports Monday, the place for the latest news and loudest opinions, direct from the guys at the track. Presented by Outback Steakhouse. The stories, views, and opinions expressed on MRN Motorsports Monday are not likely shared by anyone, anywhere. Results may vary, so you should talk to your doctor before watching.
What's up, Doc?
Today's episode is brought to you by Hercules Tire.
Pace car is up.
Here's Woody Kane.
Oh, boy, am I glad to see you guys!
I knew you'd come back, Woody.
And Joey Meyer.
Just a reminder, if you're asking me a question on the radio, just keep talking till I answer it for you, all right?
Welcome to MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse. Road racing season is upon us, and big win again for Martin Truex Jr. He is on fire. Four victories on the season so far.
When you say road racing and you slur it, it sounds like road rage.
Road rage? Well, it is kind of road rage.
That's exactly what we saw, a little bit of road rage this weekend at Elmira.
Road raging season.
Road raging season at Watkins Glen, puts on a great track with Xfinity racing and Cup racing, a lot of intense motion. The cars get so close together, but we still have very high speeds. It's a fantastic facility for these kind of race cars.
A lot of fun to watch for sure. Kevin Harvick did not get a top 10 finish, so you can't get the free Bloomin' Onion today, the Bloomin' Monday. But go by anyway. Check out the lunch specials. They've got great prices. The kids menu, the Joey menu, which is not about Joey Meyer. It's about the kids. They got a special deal there. Check them out. Tell them you heard all about it on MRN Motorsports Monday.
We ate there this weekend on Thursday in Elmira by the airport. We got to go to the Outback. They welcomed us in. They knew exactly who we were. They watched our show. I got to eat a center cut sirloin and everything.
Did you get it free?
None of that's true.
Oh.
Just the fact that I did eat there.
Okay. Well, was it good?
It was fantastic.
All right. There you go.
Fantastic.
All right. So I never know when you're telling me the truth or pulling my leg here, so we got to keep it straight.
Well, the Joey menu is what came first, me or the Joey menu? Okay.
You came first, but that doesn't mean that this Joey menu is all about you.
don't know.
Anyway, we got a lot of racing to talk about. Martin Truex Jr. is starting to get to that point where he's adding so many playoff points to his bucket that it's going to be hard to derail him until Homestead. He's going to be able to have bad races and still progress through the playoffs with all these points he's piling up.
Multiple bad races. You know,
Yeah.
we're going to have 3 stages or 3 segments of 3 races apiece before we see Homestead. He can almost not show up for those 3 races and then still have a chance at a championship. They are definitely setting themselves up unless we have a catastrophic failure on some part throughout Homestead. I'm even saying they could have multiple failures before that, but we're going to see a championship race with Martin Truex Jr. and 3 other drivers.
Yeah, almost for sure it's going to be him. He spoke with our Winston Kelly in Victory Lane. Here's what that sounded like.
It's very special to you, Martin, to be back in Victory Lane and with Sherry.
Yeah, it's awesome. It means a lot to be in Victory Lane here at this racetrack. I've been coming here a long time, and feel like we've been close and had a few slip away from us, but really excited. Great to see an awesome turnout here today with the fans and the sellout, and just such a unique and great part of the country. This weather's amazing. We love coming up here to race, so pretty cool to check this one off the box as far as road courses, and everybody wants to win at these places, so to get this one was real special.
You're leading, then you had to save fuel. You go back to third. That's got to be awful tough. Then the 21 runs or has to come down pit road. Take us through that conversation with you and Cole Pern and what you had to do to be able to save enough fuel to be able to make it all the way.
I just kept listening to him. He said, we need to slow down more, and it's the hardest thing in the world to do, to slow down and let those guys pass you for the lead, thinking that, when you figure out that you have enough fuel to make it and you can try to step up your pace again, they're just going to do the same. So you never know what any strategy everybody's on. You don't know how much gas they have or saving, or it's so tough. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do, just to slow down that much and watch those guys drive away. But it's Cole Pern, man. That's his job, and I trust in him and everything he says. And, man, he tells me to do stuff. I just do it. I don't ask questions, and here we are.
Keselowski stops, then Blaney stops with 2 to go, and then here comes Matt Kenseth filling your mirror up. What did you do on those last lap and a half as he's closing in? You still have to save. What did you do different, or did you do anything different?
I just went as fast as I had to keep him behind me, and fortunately we were able to keep that gap and never ran out of gas. So I wish I'd have went a little harder than on that last lap, so it wasn't quite so close, because I got pretty nervous those last 2 corners. But it worked out perfect, and what can I say? This is definitely an awesome day.
If I told you the first of the year, 2/3 of the way through the season, you'd have 4 wins, more stage wins than anybody, what would you have told me?
Okay, let's go get more. I mean,
not surprised.
I'm
You're
not
surprised.
No, I mean, this team's incredible. What we did last year, I felt like was, we underachieved really, really often, and felt like we were a lot better team than we showed. And even though we had some good results, but we had some bad luck along the way. This year, things have gone right. We've been more consistent, and just coming together as a group. This is our 4th year together, and we just keep getting stronger. And it takes time to get these things all to gel and to figure out all these tracks and figure out how to deal with the ups and downs of this sport. And I feel like we've done a good job of that and paid our dues, and now we're kind of reaping the benefits.
Congratulations. Go enjoy another one with Sherry and the rest of the crew.
We'll do it, man. Thank you, bud.
There you go, Martin Truex Jr., Sherry Pollock's his girlfriend there to see his 4th victory of the season. Had to stretch his fuel and talked about how difficult it is to let guys go by you, but he's looking at the bigger picture.
When you see the emotion of Sherry Pollock's, what she's been through, she got to enjoy that. The last time Martin won a race, she wasn't able to be at the track, so kudos to her. Her health is on the uprise, and they got to share victory lane together.
Fantastic. Got a big show coming up for you today on MRN Motorsports Monday. As we mentioned, it's road racing or road raging season, if you will, especially for the Xfinity Series. They have 2 more road races coming up. Justin Marks is going to drive again for Chip Ganassi Racing, and you may remember last year the monsoon we had at MidOhio, and he had a strong race there. We'll talk with him about those upcoming road races as well. On track, off track is ahead. We'll talk about that and preview the race coming up at Michigan this weekend. The trucks are back and the Cup cars go there as well. It's all ahead on MRN Motorsports Monday. Stick around.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice. And I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse. Blooming great.
It's almost Busch o'clock. A time for relaxing and unwinding with a crisp, cold Busch beer. It's the most refreshing time of the day. Wait for it. 3, 2, 1. Busch. Crisp, cold Busch. Enjoy responsibly. Busch Beer. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Where will you be when NASCAR comes to Chicago's fastest loop? 4 days of racing, tailgating, camping, and music come to Chicagoland Speedway September 14th through the 17th. Tickets for Sunday Chicagoland 400 are available now. Camping spots are available and selling fast. All kids tickets $25 off adult price and free on certain race days. Get your tickets and campsite now at ChicagolandSpeedway.com. Chicagoland Speedway, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series playoffs start here.
For the final time they come into the inner loop. Truex bobbles. Truex has Kenseth right on the back bumper. Exiting the inner loop. Through the gas they go one more time. Matt Kenseth is within striking distance off turn 5.
Just 3 car lengths between the top 2. Matt Kenseth is all but there. Daniel Suarez, a distant third, right now is not a factor. Martin Truex Jr. under braking into turn number 6. He is the race leader, but locks it up into the corner. Goes way wide and allows Matt Kenseth to close to within 1 car length in turn 7.
All you need is a drop of fuel. Does he have enough to get to the line? Here they come off turn number 7. Truex out front of Matt Kenseth, and Martin Truex Jr. will pick up the win here at the Glen.
4th win of the season for Martin Truex Jr. He is one of 13 drivers to go to victory lane so far this season. I don't think we're going to get to 16 as it may have looked like we might have gotten there a little bit earlier, but man, they have been stout just about everywhere.
We got 3 drivers sitting on the outside based on points, and they're just begging. You get the Matt Kenseth of the world that are just begging for somebody not new outside those guys that have won already. If we have a 14th different winner, a 15th different winner, 16th different winner, they're out.
Nail-biting
They're
time.
out. Yeah, exactly right. So guys like Joey Logano, they're outside, looking in already, and they need to win if not.
All right, we got a lot to talk about. Let's get into some on-track, off-track. This is the portion of the program where we talk about things that are going well in the sport and some things that maybe aren't going quite so well. For you, what's on track?
On track, we have to look at this last weekend. Watkins Glen put on a great show. Why did it put on a good show? Because it's this unique style of road course racing action that we've come to love from a Watkins Glen style track. everybody's clamoring for more road courses, more road courses. We just have to be careful, because there was a time where we were clamoring for more mile-and-a-halves, and now we simply have
Nobody's saying that anymore.
Exactly right, but we were building the heck out of them for a long time.
Yeah.
We have to be careful when we just start adding road courses. They need to be like Watkins Glen. It's a fast, radius sweeping corners, side-by-side action. Sometimes you can't go side-by-side on the bus stop, as we saw, but for the most part, you can go side-by-side around a lot of places at that track. Watkins Glen style racing is a very good style, very quick. It was a race that lasted just over 2 hours. It was actually shorter than a race the day before, 8 laps shorter.
How about that? Yeah.
Very unique. So it was a good race, very exciting, but a lot of it has to do with the style of track. I don't want to say I think I'm going to be disappointed with the Roval at Charlotte, but I just think we have to be careful.
Let's see it first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll be open-minded. I'm cool. I get to go and entertain it just like everybody else. But let's be careful when we start clamoring for a style of track instead of the type of track that Watkins Glen is.
Yeah, unintended consequences can often come up to bite you. For on track, for me, I've got a couple. One, as we've mentioned, it's road raging season, especially for the Xfinity Series. 3, counting this past weekend at Watkins Glen. 3 of the next 4 are at road races, and we'll talk with Justin Marks a little bit about that coming up in the program. Also, how about Mike Bagley working with NBC yesterday, lending some MRN-style calls to the typical television coverage where they don't call turns like we do, because obviously on radio fans can't see the track, and TV you can, but I thought that was an interesting element and it was a lot of fun.
One of the things that I do as a spotter is I listen to MRN during the race. Now, it's not blasting in my headset, it's like elevator music, it's in the background. People are like, why do you say that? I said, because they have more people around the track watching the race, and the ability for the Mike Bagleys and the Dave Moody's of the world to verbally paint a picture, which is, as a spotter, what I'm doing for my driver, they're doing for me. So when you're listening to a broadcast on MRN and you're listening to them, you're painting this picture. Well, now you not only get the painted picture verbally, you get to see it on TV. And it really opened up the broadcast for NBC. Kudos to them. Great job by Mike Bagley, and hope they keep moving forward in that direction.
We'll see, because it was sure a lot of fun. It was definitely a different twist to the coverage there. All right, off track. What's not going quite so well in Joey's world?
Well, this is kind of a little poke at fun, just to make fun of a little bit. I'm going to call it NASCAR math. We all go to racetracks. We grew up around racetracks, nice oval tracks. We go into turn 1, we exit turn 2, we enter turn 3, we exit turn 4. It's been simple. Most road race ovals have 4 corners. We get very used to it. Then we go to the tricky triangle, and people are like, how many corners does Pocono have? Well, it's got 3. But if I take out the backstretch, how many would it have? Would it have 4? So that's kind of a unique math situation. So I'm kind of curious as how that math works. Well, then we go to Sears Point. We have a racetrack that we have 12 corners, but NASCAR doesn't race all the corners. We only use part of the racetrack. So we go from turns 4 to turn 7. And that's the way it's called. Turn 4, we go to turn 7. There is no 5 and 6. It's gone because NASCAR doesn't run it. Now we go to Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen notoriously has 11 corners, except for we don't run the boot.
Which is a part of the track that's shaped like a boot that they use for other forms of racing.
We actually don't run it. But Watkins Glen has 11 corners, but we don't run the boot. So how many corners does the NASCAR track have? 7.
7, okay.
Yep, so that's how NASCAR math is. You have to appreciate it, but when we go to different tracks, it's just something they kind of dig, and NASCAR sent out a memo this weekend. We only use 7 corners at Watkins Glen, even though there's 11.
All right. So the math comes out right, and if you look at it that way.
Whatever it had.
But if you just hear it, it's kind of confusing.
Well, for a long time, MRN used 7 corners, and NASCAR called 11, and there was a little confusion on the part of that. So it's just an interesting thing that we deal with when we go to different tracks, and I always found it humorous.
All right, there you go. That's On Track, Off Track. Another time out here on Motorsports Monday. Justin Marks will join us on the other side as he's got a couple of races coming up for Chip Ganassi Racing in the Xfinity Series. We'll talk with him next.
I'm Steve Letarte, STP auto expert and former crew chief. I know what it takes to keep engines performing at their best. STP's latest breakthrough additive, STP Ultra 5-in-1 plus Fuel System Cleaner plus Fuel Stabilizer, delivers 3 times the amount of cleaning agents versus premium gasoline and helps keep fuel fresh during storage. For over 60 years, STP has been on the cutting edge developing products to help engines run better, longer.
One bottle contains 3 times by weight the amount of cleaning agents compared to 20 gallons of the leading premium gasoline.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so it's all about Outback Steakhouse. Blooming great!
Hey, this is Dylan Hart Jr., and I know the importance of communication. So when it came to selecting equipment for my team, I chose Racing Electronics. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will win! Oh, yeah! And so should you. With Racing Electronics, you can listen to all the raw, unfiltered, heat-of-the-moment communication between drivers and the crew.
I love you, man. Thank
enhancing your experience.
Unbelievable!
And putting you right in the middle of the action. Go to racingelectronics.com to rent a scanner or fan vision, or see Racing Electronics and Fan Vision trackside at every NASCAR race.
Ryan Sieg in turn 5 very slowly. He's shedding debris, parts and pieces in the racing line with a left front tire cut down. Here comes the leader, Kyle Busch. He's running through the debris in the middle of the corner. He has to slide wide. Debris litters turn 5 as the leaders exit turn corner.
Off to driver's right is Ryan Sieg. Will give the race leaders plenty of room to his outside. It is going to be race leader Kyle Busch maintaining the top spot, but only by 10 car lengths. Joey Logano is closing, but it looks like he's going to run out of time. Through turn 6 and off of turn 7 for the final time for the race leader.
It'll be the 90th win of his career, the 25th different track in his NASCAR Xfinity Series career. Kyle Busch wins the Zippo 200 at the Glen.
That's the way it sounded at Watkins Glen on Saturday. The Zippo 200, Alex Hayden, Kyle Rickey, and Kurt Becker with the call there. Kyle Busch wins and Twitter explodes.
You know, it's amazing. As long of a career that Kyle Busch has had and as successful he's been, he's never won at Watkins Glen. And that was a pretty impressive feat by his part. Not only that, 90 wins in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, pretty large, absolutely. As we mentioned, it's road racing season in the Xfinity Series. Counting Watkins Glen, 3 of the next 4 are at road courses. And joining us now is Justin Marks, who's going to climb back behind the wheel of that Chip Ganassi racing machine to run at MidOhio and to run at Road America. Justin, welcome back to the program, man. This is getting to be kind of a regular gig for you. It's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it does feel good. It feels great to be able to go to MidOhio and defend a win. Kind of changes the whole dynamic of the experience. But, yeah, I mean, for the last 4 or 5 years, it's been my thing to join this series and on these road courses in August. And to be able to do it Chip Ganassi Racing is an awesome opportunity. So we're getting geared up and ready to go do it again.
You know, in the past, we've seen drivers come out of the series and jump back in. But what are the unique experience with doing that is you have to prepare for these races. It's not like they talk about, oh, once you ride a bike, you get off and you get back on, it's pretty easy. This isn't that easy to hop in a road course style racetrack with these cars. How do you keep prepared, and how are you preparing for the next couple of road courses?
Well, I mean, I've road raced for, my whole career, even, for 10 years before I came to North Carolina and started pursuing stock car racing, I was road racing. So, it's something that's just so deeply ingrained in my experience and my skill set and everything that's probably easier for me than a lot of people to, jump in these cars after being out for a while. But I do have the privilege of being able to race some endurance sports car racing this year for BMW in the IMSA WeatherTech series. So I've run the 24 hours of Daytona, 12 hours of Sebring, 6 hours of Watkins Glen just a couple weeks ago. So I've got some seat time. And then, other than that, really it's just, as we get closer to the races, spending time with the team, kind of getting back in the mode of the NASCAR races, because even though it's road racing, it is a very different type of racing than sports cars. So I've been able to get my reps in, so to speak, this year a little bit. But like I mentioned, as we get closer, kind of get back looking at notes from last year, spend some time in the simulator, and just kind of get focused again specifically on these races because they are unique.
Yeah, speaking of unique, last time at MidOhio, it was a torrential rain, and I think, folks think, well, I can just drive in my street car, it's no big deal in the rain, but these cars are going so fast and they're so heavy. Give folks a sense of how difficult it is to, A, keep the car on track when it's raining like that, and B, stay up front.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing. I mean, like you said, it is very, very unique style of driving, and I have the luxury of being able to have a lot of experience racing in the rain and racing in the rain at MidOhio. So I was able to find the grip pretty fast in that race and then just drive around the limit of it. But, to be honest with you, to be good in the rain and to be able to put a race together and put yourself in a position to win in the rain, you can't drive all out like you do a lot of times in these races. You really have to keep a little bit of margin. You have to keep a little bit of aggression and speed in the bank, so to speak. So, I mean, really, honestly, I drove that race about, at an 85 to 90% aggression level. And I was able to, I had one sort of little off-track excursion, but other than that, I really didn't have much of a hairy moment at all day. And so you leave yourself that little bit of a margin. You find the grip, commit to it, and just try to run good, clean laps, and you can put a good race together. I mean, ultimately, I think that's what allowed us to lead all the laps that we did and have the big lead that we did, was just being consistent and not really making any mistakes and committing to the lines of where the grip is. But, honestly, you just have to be very methodical in your approach to it. You have to work up to it because, if you go through corners a little bit too slow and leave a couple tenths on the table as you're coming up to speed, that's still a lot better than overcooking a corner and driving off in the grass and through the gravel and trying to rejoin because you lose so much time doing that. So you just do it kind of slow and methodical and check a little bit of aggression, and you can put a race together in those conditions.
One of the new things this year in 2017 that wasn't in place last year is the stage racing for these road courses. Have you looked at that, and are you and Mike Shiplett, I'm assuming is your same crew chief, are you guys moving forward with stage racing in mind?
We haven't really talked about it. I'm heading to the shop right now, and I'm sure we will talk about it today. But I don't know. That's kind of an unknown to me. I mean, I've talked to a few of my friends and asked, if it's changed the racing, if it's changed the way people go racing, sort of at the end of these stages, and I think it does, and it has. Excuse me. On a road course, I think it probably is a little bit different because things have a tendency to get spread out. I think where you can see it impact the race is, if we go back green, if we get a caution and go back green for just a couple laps right before the stage, you might see a pretty aggressive restart. But other than that, I don't really honestly know what to expect. I mean, I'm hoping that we're not locked up in a real aggressive battle at the end of those stages where somebody would get a little bit more aggressive than they need to at the 1/3 point or the 1/2 point of the race. But yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I'm sure I'll have a conversation about it today. I'll talk to Brandon Poole about it, my teammate, and I don't think ultimately it changes the way that we approach because I'm not racing for points. I'm not racing for stage points. I'm there to try to win the race. And if that means, we're going to be a little bit different towards the end of the stages or leave a little bit of a margin towards the end of the stages, then that's what we'll do because the most important thing is winning the race.
We were chatting with Justin Marks, who's going to drive 2 road races for Chip Ganassi Racing coming up at MidOhio and Road America. Obviously 2 very different tracks, and Joey and I were talking a little bit earlier about how the road courses have become so exciting at the Cup level in particular, and people are clamoring for more, but he believes you should consider the style of track before you just start adding a road course just to add a road course. Give folks a sense of how different some of these tracks are because Sonoma is very different from Watkins Glen, and Road America is very different from MidOhio.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, these cars are really, really unique. I mean, driving 3,300-pound stock car on the tire that we're on and with the power that we've got both in the Xfinity and in the Monster Energy Cup Series is so unique to anything else in the world. They're not really built to road race. So the style of track that you go to can be a huge determining factor in what type of show you see. The Cup Series is always going to put on a pretty good show on a road course because the talent depth is just so deep and the guys are so good and they race so hard. But I mean, Watkins Glen is a very different racetrack than Sonoma. I've run the Cup race at Sonoma twice, and you don't really get to use a lot of the engineering in the cars at a place like that because it's not a very high-speed track. So you're not using a lot of the aero. I mean, I think towards the end of the fuel runs in the Cup race at Sonoma, I don't know if I ever was able even to really get to the floor because you just would overpower the tires and you're just sliding around so much. So, the MidOhio and Road America are both good tracks for the road court for the stock cars because they do have some high-speed corners. They're not really point-and-shoot tracks, so to speak, like a Sonoma is. I think that Watkins Glen is sort of the perfect racetrack for stock cars because it's the closest thing to an oval, so it suits the way those cars are built so much better. I'm a little bit curious to see how this race at Charlotte's going to go next fall because it's not really a very good road course. I would have loved to see those guys try to go to Road Atlanta or Laguna Seca or something like that, but I understand the economics of the sport will sort of prohibit that from happening. But I mean, if it's a high-speed track where you can get these cars sealed off and you can get them running kind of like on an oval, they're going to put on a pretty good show. But road courses in general, like you said, I think they are just about the best racing in the sport right now because they've got these cars on the ovals basically better than the racetracks. They've got them working so good that it's just really it's sort of an engineering arms race more than anything. But at the road courses, you can really, really race because, you got to slam on the brakes and you got to stop these things. You got to turn them right and left, and they get aggressive on restart. So it is a great type of racing, and I feel really fortunate that it's my style, and those are the types of races that I get to participate in a sport.
Yeah.
Justin, this last weekend's winner, Martin Truex, is a big fisherman. Denny Hamlin, notoriously big for basketball. I'm being told Justin Marks has a Mount Everest wish. What is that about?
Well, yeah, when I was very young, I really had two dreams, and one was to race professionally, and one was to climb the highest mountain in the world. And they're kind of obviously polar opposites, I guess, of each other. I mean, you couldn't have more sort of opposite dreams in your life, but yeah, I mean, I love the mountains. I love being in the mountains. I think that high altitude mountaineering is one of the most, I think, exciting ways I think a person can push themselves. And I think these guys that have managed to do these epic climbs in the Himalayas they're heroes of mine, because I'm a fan of human endurance. I'm a fan of pushing your body to its absolute limit. I've done it a few times in my life, and it's a big project, and Everest is the culmination of a climbing career for a lot of people. And really, I'm only 12 months into really actually training for this exploit. And I was in Ecuador this spring climbing some volcanoes and trying to get some altitude and getting some technical experience up on the snow and ice and glacier, which I did. And then in January, I'm going to South America to climb a mountain called Aconcagua. It's just under 23,000 feet, the highest mountain in the world outside of the Himalayan range. So I'm starting the process. It's really exciting. A lot of hard work, a lot of training, a lot of hours go into it. But as my racing career starts to become more and more part-time, and I start to get a little older and have my businesses and my kids, and I'm not racing full-time anymore, my focus has shifted on pursuing this other dream, and we've started the process.
Man, that's going to be really cool. So when is your time frame? What's your goal for that?
Well, I think it depends on a lot of factors, and the most is really, balancing this with the responsibilities to my family and to my life, because it's a lot of time away, and it's it's not the safest hobby that you could have. So it's it's balancing those things. But I think in a perfect world, I would love to make an attempt. I'd love to make an attempt in the spring of 2020. So I've got 2.5 years of focused training ahead of me, and that'll be one or two big international climbs a year. So if Aconcagua in January in South America goes well, I'll turn my attention to going to a big, possibly an 8,000 meter peak in Nepal next fall in October. And if that goes really well, it's not outside the realm of possibility to take a good look at Everest in the spring of 19. So it's kind of fluid, but we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'm training hard nearly every day right now for it, and we'll just go through the process. But it's pretty exciting to pursue this dream. I think it would be, after I won MidOhio last year, I came home and it was a really big box to check in my life, and I started thinking, how cool would it be if you had two dreams like this, as an 8 or 10-year-old, to try to pursue both of them in a lifetime, and I'm halfway there. So we'll see how it goes.
Man, that's really cool. It kind of makes racing seem tame when you talk about climbing Mount Everest. Well, Justin, we'll look forward to catching up with you at MidOhio and Road America in that number 42 machine at Ganassi Racing, the Chevrolet there, and look forward to seeing you defend your win last year at MidOhio. Continued success, man. It's really cool.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Good luck. How about that? I mean, he makes it sound so commonplace. Yeah, I was just in Ecuador climbing some volcanoes.
As young drivers working yourself through the ranks, you talk about, man, he has a steep hill to climb.
He really does.
Justin really has a steep hill to climb.
In more ways than one. All right, one more break here on MRN Motorsports Monday. We'll look ahead at what's coming up this weekend next.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice. And I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse. That's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse. Blooming great.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Junior Nation, it all comes down to this. After over 200,000 laps, 750 races, and 14 most popular driver awards, it's time for a legend's last lap. Be there to witness Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s final race, Sunday, November 19th at Homestead Miami Speedway during the Ford EcoBoost 400 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Tickets on sale now at HomesteadMiamiSpeedway.com or call 866-409-RACE.
I'm Dale Earnhardt Jr., and you're listening to MRN Motorsports Monday with Joey Meyer and Woody Kane.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., not a successful day on the Cup side at Watkins Glen, but he's got some good tracks coming up, including Michigan, where they're going to be blasting into the turns at over 200 miles an hour on Sunday.
As disappointed as he was leaving Watkins Glen, that's how anxious he is to get back to Michigan, where he's won a handful of times. Always had good success there. It's an engine tuner's nightmare, that kind of place. The RPMs, not only at a restrictor plate race, they stay around the high 8,000 range, but that's kind of where the engine is going to run. But at Michigan, we're going to run around 92, 93, 9,400 RPMs and just zing in these motors because the track, you don't go wide open around the whole place, but the RPM range is staying up there the entire lap. The truck race is just about a restrictor plate style race. They're wide open with so much drag around, a lot of beating and banging with the draft. I don't mean beating and banging by hitting each other, but the wind is just ruffling these trucks around, and you see a lot of large runs in these trucks. Great, fantastic racing. We're still looking for Michigan to come back to the way it used to be with 4 and 5 lanes wide.
It's getting there,
but
not back.
It's really trying. It's like that brand new grass you threw out in the summer, and you're wanting it to grow. It peaks up, but it doesn't get high. That's what we're seeing at Michigan right now. We want it to get back 4 lanes wide. We're hoping for 2 this weekend.
And we talked with Justin about the Xfinity Series heading to MidOhio. That was a fun race last year, but we had a torrential rain.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how MidOhio what the weather is. We'd rather see a dry track. We see road course experts like Justin Marks, but we also have points leaders with the Junior Motorsports. The whole caveat of Junior Motorsports guys.
Yeah, Elliott Sadler, William Byron, and Justin Allgaier are the top 3.
Yeah, and we're still looking for those third-time, 14th winner, 15th winner, possibly 16th winner in the Cup Series in the next 3 weeks. So very intriguing as we get down to the playoffs, because if the playoffs started now,
here we go.
Truex would have a winner.
Yeah, he would, and he is really doing well in terms of accumulating those playoff points. We've got a big weekend coming up for you on MRN. Doubleheader on Saturday. We've got the LTI Printing 200 Camping World Truck Series race for Michigan. That starts at 12:30 Eastern Time. Then MidOhio, the Xfinity Series race from Lexington, Ohio. That one is at 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. On Sunday, the Pure Michigan 400 from Michigan International Speedway starts at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. And don't forget, NASCAR Live every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. He's Joey. I'm Woody. See you next week.
MRN Motorsports Monday is presented by Outback Steakhouse. Tune in every Monday for another exciting episode right here on MRN.com. Brought to you by Hercules Tires. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand in MRN.com's Media Center, on our Facebook page, on YouTube, and in iTunes or the Google Play Store. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network.